Hello everybody and welcome back to another tutorial by myself, TK. It's been a long time, hasn't it? But today we're going to be going through the Eiffel Tower effect in my Europe 12 countries in 24 days video. Is that right? Yes it is. Which it constructs itself and looks cool. And some of you guys have been really requesting it, so let's get into it. Now before we jump in, this tutorial is sponsored by Epidemic Sound, where I get most of my music and sound effects from to use in my videos. Epidemic Sound has a large variety of in-house curated original music and sound effects to choose from pop to lo-fi beats, from transition sound effects to ambience. With over 30,000 tracks and 60,000 sound effects to choose from, you're bound to find the one you're looking for. Whether you're creating vlogs or tutorials like me, it's the perfect place to get copyright-free music and sound effects for your videos. And with just one simple license, you can monetize your videos on all platforms. Even if you cancel your subscription, your uploads will stay monetized forever. There's a link below that you can sign up with to get 1 month free on Epidemic Sound. Okay, so first things first, I'm working in Adobe After Effects. It's my preferred program for doing really cool special effects stuff. And here's the Eiffel Tower here from the Europe video. And look at all these people having so much fun in the park, just frolicking along. Now the first thing we're gonna do is we need to replace the Eiffel Tower itself with sky. So we're actually gonna do a background replacement here, a sky replacement. In order to do that, I'm gonna duplicate the original clip here, Control D to duplicate, and then I'm gonna select the mask tool up here, and I'm gonna choose a patch of sky that is kind of similar to the sky that's behind the Eiffel Tower. I'm just gonna choose this. This should work. We can't just put this straight over the Eiffel Tower because obviously we've got some background movement, don't we? And that looks kind of fake. I'm also gonna just grab this little button thing here and I'm gonna swap the side of it so it's kind of different to this cloud. So in order to make this piece of sky move with the camera, we're gonna have to track something in this image and put the sky on the track. Underneath my effects and presets, there should be a tracker option. Tracker. And then we're gonna go to my original clip. I'll just get rid of the sky for now so you can see. And I'm gonna click under the tracker, track motion. And now it's gonna put me into a new little screen here where I'm gonna track the motion. Also, you can tell that there's no color in this. This is because it's reverted back to the original flat image. So I'm just gonna track the corner of the Eiffel Tower here. This seems like the easiest thing for the tracker to work with. You wanna pick something with a bit of contrast or a point, something that can stand out quite a bit. So I'm gonna click the play button just here and it should track the image for me pretty well. Okay, and just like that, the tracker has analyzed this edge and it's tracked it pretty much perfectly. I'm happy with that. And I'm going back to the tracking options right here, edit target, and I want to select the sky layer, which I believe is this one, and then okay, and then apply X, Y. And now this should move with the movement of the Eiffel Tower. Look at that, it's just sitting there. It's perfectly tracked, and that's how we track the sky. But the thing is, I didn't freeze this frame and the sky is actually moving. So I'm gonna go to the sky layer and I'm gonna go right click, time, freeze frame. And then we should have a nicely frozen sky. It shouldn't move at all. That looks pretty damn good. Nailed it. All right, now what I need to do is I need to feather the mask. And we're gonna feather that out. And then, because this is tracked, we can't move the position, we can only move the anchor point. So I'm gonna move the anchor point behind the Eiffel Tower, and I might even just stretch this a bit more. I'm gonna move the anchor point again because if I move the position, it'll mess up the tracking a little bit. And that's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna hide everything because I'm gonna fix these edges up later. The next step here involves, we can start with the Eiffel Tower, but I think it's better to start with the hedges and to get all the background looking good before we put the Eiffel Tower in. So duplicate the original layer again. It helps so much if you name your layers. All right, you know what? I'll name a layer. I'll call it OG because it's the OG. It's the OG layer. That means this is I'm gonna put this back on top so I can actually see what I need to cut out here. I'm gonna freeze frame the OG layer. I'm gonna go time, freeze frame. So the OG layer, the one I just named, is basically a layer with nothing done to it. It's just the original image. By the way, the adjustment layer up here is just a color grade. I'm gonna mask out these hedges here because the sky is kind of messing that up a little bit, the sky replacement. Bam, and then it's frozen. Okay, so now that we've cut out the background here behind the Eiffel Tower, first of all, I will feather it because it looks pretty messy. We're gonna go to your mask, go to feather, type in 5, that should be enough. I'm gonna go back to the layer that I tracked. To do that, I can go up here. I've got my original composition, then I've got the tracked layer up here. So when you track it, it'll give you another little option here that you can go back to. I'm gonna click on the tracking point, edit target. I'm gonna just edit the OG. So I'm gonna reapply all the tracking data to another layer now. So it should track the OG layer, and it should, but it didn't. Make sure you remember to click apply to X, Y, and Z, like I just did then, because it wasn't working. You have to actually apply it. Bam. There we go, it's in the exact spot we wanted it to. No, it's definitely not in the right spot. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the OG clip, we're gonna go anchor points, move that up. And I have just realized that I can't have anything moving in this clip. So I'm gonna adjust the mask. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna pull this cloud layer up because it's taken up these people a little bit. I need to adjust this into the exact spot where it was. Okay, so now we've got the hedges tracked behind the, in front of the Eiffel Tower here. And we also have the sky tracked over the Eiffel Tower. The next step here is to put the Eiffel Tower back in. To do that, I'm gonna go to my original layer without anything done to it. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm gonna drag it to the top of my layers so I can actually see the Eiffel Tower. Now there's two ways you can cut out the Eiffel Tower. The first time I did this, I masked around the Eiffel Tower. I just adjusted the mask to the shape, like frame by frame, but this takes way too long. So I'm just gonna do the right-click freeze frame technique again. Right-click time, freeze frame. I've got a frozen Eiffel Tower. Just gonna mask it, mask it, mask it. Okay, so now I've just masked the Eiffel Tower out. And now, obviously, I've got to track the Eiffel Tower to the background as well, because look, it's flying. Now I'm just gonna go back to the tracking data up here and do the same thing. Click on the tracker so it gives me the options. Then we're gonna go edit target, and the target name was layer 2. And I'm gonna go apply, X and Y. But once again, I've got to move the anchor points of the Eiffel Tower to get it into the right position. Yep, that's looking good. The next step is to duplicate the Eiffel Tower 3 times because we need 3 different sections to make the Eiffel Tower construct itself. I'm gonna rename this top, the next one mid, the last one is going to be bottom. Haha, bottom. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the bottom layer. I'm gonna switch off the top and the mid so I can see what I'm doing when I cut this out. I'm actually gonna use the original mask. I'm gonna highlight all these that I don't need. And oh, geez, that was bloody perfect. Sometimes things just work out for you. So now I've got the bottom section, that's all masked out and it's tracked, it's looking good. I'm gonna turn the mid section on now, and I'm gonna delete the masks from the bottom section because I no longer need those. And then I'm also gonna delete the masks from the top. Come here, you little bastard. Alright, so I'm just going to delete those masks, and now I've got my mid section. If I turn this off, you can see that we now have 2 sections here. And my top section, I'm also going to have to cut out. So I'm just going to delete the masks from the mid section and the bottom section. Now the next step is making these parts move. So to do that, I'm going to turn off the top and the mid section just so I can see. I'm going to go to the bottom section. And I'm actually gonna pre-compose this bottom layer because if I don't pre-compose the bottom layer, we don't have access to the position options here because the position keyframes have been taken over by the tracking data. The tracking data uses the position keyframes. I'm gonna pre-compose the bottom layer. That's one way we can get over that. And now I have access to the position. But first what I'm gonna do is, because I know I'm gonna rotate this, and see here, this is the anchor point. If I rotate it now, it's gonna rotate around the anchor point. but I'm gonna just hold Y on the keyboard, drag the anchor point to the center because I want a realistic rotation as it's coming up. And now I'm going to set my position keyframes. If I set my position keyframes before I did that, it messes up. So keep note of that. I'm gonna set my rotation keyframe as well. So I want the keyframes to be about here because this is where it's gonna end. And then I'm going to pull the Eiffel Tower down, the bottom. And now it's created a new keyframe here because it's starting below. And then I'm gonna hit rotation and I'm gonna change the rotation a little bit. So when it comes up, it has a bit of a rotation look. So it'll be like this. So it's gonna be a little bit different to my Europe video, but different in a better way. I don't want the Eiffel Tower to just come up and then suddenly stop. So I'm gonna ease it in. It's gonna slow down before it gets to the top. In order to do that, click the keyframe, click the graph editor here, and then you'll have some options on the right side here, like an easy ease options, which make things gradually slow down and speed up. This is cool, but I want to adjust it a bit more. In order to have more leverage over this option, we need to click the XYZ. Usually you have to click this when you're adjusting the position. So now I have this option. I can grab this little tool here, drag it over, and it gives me a more easy ease out kind of slope. It's more gradual. Keep playing with that until you get it to something you're happy with. You can do that with rotation as well. There we go, that's looking good. And now I'm gonna go to the mid section. I'm gonna pre-compose that as well. And then turn it on so I can actually see it. And I'm gonna do the same thing, but this is gonna come up after the bottom comes up. So as soon as that comes up there, I'm going to make the next section pop up. I'm just gonna do the exact same thing, set my position to where I want it, let's put it about here, and then I'm gonna hide it below about here. I'm gonna mask this later, and then I'm gonna put a bit of rotation, and I'm just gonna do the exact same thing I did. I'm gonna rotate it the opposite way. I'm gonna do the exact same thing I did with the bottom layer, so I'm gonna easy ease in and out everything. All right, now for the top layer, switch that on, pre-compose, and then do the same thing to the top layer, but this time hiding it just below the mid layer. I'm gonna put the anchor point in the middle, setting my position for the top layer, and then I'm going to pull it down behind the mid layer, and this one can come up slower because it'll look cooler. Gradually ease that in and ease it out. Alright, so after a lot of positioning and rotating, I finally have this effect where the Eiffel Tower is actually building itself. So the next step to do here is to hide the pieces as they come up, so they're getting revealed instead of just sitting there looking like a jumbled mess, and make them look like they're appearing from behind the hedges. So the first thing we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna reverse the order of the top, mid, and bottom. So I'm gonna put the top at the bottom, the mid can stay in the middle, and the bottom's gonna be at the top. So now they're appearing behind each other and not out of order in front of each other. And that's good, that's exactly what we want, but now we need to actually mask them as they come up. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to that layer that I froze, the hedge at the back, with the buildings at the back, the frozen layer that's tracked, and I'm gonna put that in front of everything. So now it is kind of going behind that layer, as you can see there. I'm gonna go back to the original layer and I'm just gonna duplicate that. Also gonna rename it Original, because I don't know if I spelled that right, but, and I'm just gonna cut out a mask, and I'm gonna put that at the very top because I want that to hide everything. Now it's kind of working there. We've got the bottom filled up, it looks good. The last step, in order to pull off this effect, we actually need to mask the middle layer so we can't see it behind the bottom layer right here. So I'm gonna just draw around the mid layer. And I'm gonna make sure the mask is set to invert so we can't see it. And I'm gonna hit the keyframe position on the mask as well. Now as the mid layer comes up, I'm gonna adjust the mask so that I can't see it behind the Eiffel Tower. So I'm just pulling the mask down so it comes up and looks clean. Cool. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the top layer as well. So I'm just gonna mask out the top layer, draw a nice big mask around the top, make sure it's set to invert or it is set to subtract, add, subtract, or invert. As the mid comes up, I can adjust the mask. Always make sure you remember to hit the mask path tool. And then I'm just gonna pull the mask into place, because now I want it to be revealed from the top, but I want it to be hidden from the bottom still. So let's just make sure that looks good. Yep. After your effect is completed, you want to right click, create a new adjustment layer, and add some motion blur. We're gonna type in motion, force motion blur, drag that to the top of your adjustment layer, and we're gonna change the samples up here to 12 to get a more realistic blur effect. And that's how you do the Eiffel Tower effect from my Europe 12 countries in 24 days video. I've actually done this in a more professional way than I did last time. If you're also new to my channel, I will be doing more tutorials and there will be more cool cinematic videos coming out, so make sure you subscribe and keep supporting me. You guys have been doing a great job with that, so I thank you very much. And just a quick reminder that this video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound, where I get most of my copyright-free music for videos like this and sound effects for pretty much all the videos that I make. If you would like to get 1 month free on Epidemic Sound, the sign-up link is below in the description, so check it out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. My name's Ben TK, peace. Microphone's on, good. Imagine spending 2 hours trying to film a tutorial and your microphone's off the whole time on your camera. Thank God for that.